Hi, I'm James, and I am a middle-aged adult. Hi, I'm James Powers, and I am a freelance commercial DP that loves using practical in-camera special effects. These resets are a lot of fun. The people have spoken. Dave Riz and H. Ribar DP commented about wanting to see a splash rig, so here's that video. In this video, we're gonna talk about the splash rig that we used in this 15-second commercial.
Wow, it's a new look, and it's looking real good. It's a new look, and it's looking real good. I mean, it's a new look. Yeah, looking real good.
The point of building a splash rig is to give you consistent and repeatable results when working with water. The splash rig has three basic components. We have a plastic sheet that we use to create the wave. We have a bucket that we use to throw and drop the water. And then we have a frame that kind of secures both the bucket and the sheet so we could get repeatable, consistent results. Okay, so how do we create the plastic sheet? Before we get started, let's take a look at the finished product. So this is what we ended up making. And this is an acrylic sheet that's 4 feet by 2 feet, and it is a 1/4 inch thick. I'll put a link up over here somewhere where I purchased it. I remember it being about 114 bucks. So we have the slope where the water pours down, the flat spot, and then the most important part, this curve where the water starts to form this really cool looking wave, and that's what we're interested in filming. Ta-da! If you haven't worked with plastic or acrylic before, it's not that complicated. Anytime you want to introduce a curve or a bend, you're gonna have to apply some heat. So to create this plastic sheet, we used a blowtorch and an 8-inch concrete form. This is an 8-inch tube that you could find at most hardware stores. Just look in the concrete or gardening section. It's a concrete form. It's used to kind of create concrete posts. We ended up cutting it to length, so it's, a little over the width of your sheet. And then you use a blowtorch to slowly heat the plastic. And once the plastic is evenly heated, it'll start to warp and bend. And this concrete form helps create that curve that we're looking for. Once the plastic sheet is over the tube, you're going to evenly heat the front part of the tube, and you may want to put tin foil around the cardboard tube, that way it doesn't catch on fire. But you apply even heat and you slowly push it forward and pull it back. Now over time, it'll start to slowly take on the shape of the cardboard tube. And it's important to be patient and take your time. If you start to see air bubbles in the plastic sheet, that means it's getting too hot in that specific area, so bubbles are bad. For consistent results, you're gonna wanna use a bucket to throw water down your plastic sheet. I ended up modifying this bucket that I found on Amazon. This is an 18-quart food container that I purchased for about 35 bucks. Here's a screenshot of the exact food container that I got on Amazon. We modified this food container bucket to have an area that we could mount a rod underneath. This way, when you pour the water, it has a consistent rotation point. So it's gonna easily pivot off this area. When you work with water in slow motion, you want consistent results. So using this bracket as a pivot point gives you consistency and repeatability. At the end of the day, that's what you want. All right, the splash rig. So this is the frame for the splash rig, and we used 2820 extruded aluminum. They call it 2020 because it has a cross section of 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. This extruded aluminum has these little slots that allow you to use these T-nut hardware bits to secure everything together. This frame will allow you to put your plastic sheet and bucket all in one tight little package. Let me show you what that looks like. Oh boy. We have our bucket. This bucket has a rod that slots into our bracket that we created. To better secure this plastic sheet to the frame, I used a Cardellini clamp. If you jog your frame off the edge of the table a little bit, you'll have just enough room to add a clamp. That's what I did. Otherwise, the plastic sheet is just, you know, floating over your frame. You don't want that. To use the splash rig, you first fill the bucket with water. And then once you're ready, you hit record and you dump your water. As the water goes down, it hits this curve, and this is the area of interest. Right here is where that beautiful wave starts to form. Now, when you're ready to reset and do it again, you need to fill your bucket with water. You don't have to do this. This is more of a flex. I added an electromagnet to the top of the frame because what this allows me to do is I could take my steel handle and place it against the electromagnet, and then now I'm free to fill the bucket without holding it. It's on there pretty good. Oh man, look at that electromagnet. I could do this all day. I was getting better results with a hand pour because of how smooth the water was flowing. So I would turn off the electromagnet and pour the water. Here are a few clips of the splash rig in action, and if you enjoy this kind of content, please remember to like and/or subscribe. This video is part of a commercial breakdown series that I've been doing, and there are still a few topics we have yet to touch on. There's the amount of food styling that went on in that 15-second commercial. There's the food drop rig, as well as this really cool camera tracking rig that we created. If you want to see any of that, please comment in the section below. I really think you're going to want to see this camera tracking rig. It's pretty awesome. We had a gimbal, and then we used a prop soda can rig that we mounted to the front of our camera lens. So if you want to see any of that, please write it in the section below. So that'll do it for this video, and as always, thank you for watching. Thanks for watching.
Mom said no more confetti.
Oh boy.
Let's get out there before.
That was good.